I'm confident in the case our government has made without waiting for UN inspectors. I'm comfortable going forward without the approval of a United Nations Security Council that so far has been completely paralyzed and unwilling to hold Assad accountable.
President Obama in the Rose Garden earlier this afternoon. Let's bring in Fox News contributor, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton. Ambassador, first your thoughts overall about this whole thing.
Well, this is absolutely stunning. I've been trying to fill in the blank in the following sentence. Barack Obama is the weakest president since. And I have to say, the best I can come up with is James Buchanan, who watched the country dissolve into the Civil War. We're watching the collapse of American influence in the Middle East and really more broadly. And I say that as somebody who's been opposed to the use of force here in Syria. I have to ask the question, if you're Secretary of State John Kerry, given the two very strong statements that he's made on this subject since the first indication of the chemical weapons use 10 days ago took place, are you now thinking of resigning as a matter of principle, having laid out the case, whether you agree or disagree with Kerry, that the United States has to use force here to see the president take this step? I'll leave it to others to say whether Congress can approve it, but, you know, he needs 60 votes in the Senate to authorize force, and it's very hard to see that he's going to get it. And having said, I've made up my mind to use force, but now I'll ask Congress. A failure to get it here tells the Ayatollahs in Tehran it is smooth sailing towards nuclear weapons unless Israel strikes.
And just to be clear, you oppose military force in this environment, and you've been talking about that.
Yes, absolutely. But I also favor a strong president and a strong foreign policy and a strong America in the world. And Barack Obama...
But people watching, Ambassador, would say you can't have it both ways. That this president is the president, and he's choosing to do what actually Congress asked him to do. Go to Congress and ask for authorization. And now he is doing just that.
Yeah. Well, it was a very foolish thing to make the statement about the red line last August. He did it in the heat of a presidential campaign. But the fact is, as the economists say in the sunken cost fallacy, just because you do one very foolish thing, as you look ahead on your policy, you don't make things better by doing a second foolish thing. We were going to take a hit for his misstatement last August, but we don't need to compound it. He's now compounded it twice over. He's saying again today that the military strike will be very limited, but he's going further in saying he's not even sure he's willing to do it unless he gets authority. I think this is a mistake twice compounded now.
Last thing, he is leaving Tuesday evening for Sweden and then Russia in the midst of this hanging basically in limbo until Congress gets back September 9th. That in and of itself presents some foreign policy challenges.
No, but it's a mistake to go. If it's as serious as he says it is, that he's willing to use American military force, he should call Congress back into session right now.
Ambassador Bolton, thank you as always. Just